everybody, welcome back to my channel. Thank you all for tuning in. So, up until a couple days ago, I had no idea this was even a thing, but I watched Steve Herold's vinyl tag video for 2024, and I thought it looked like a lot of fun, so I wanted to join in on the fun, and I went and watched a lot of other people's vinyl tag for 2024, and I thought this was something that was really cool. So I guess thanks to Rob Walker, who I have come to understand has been the one that has sort of set this ball rolling the last couple of years. So I wanted to join in it for 2024 and hopefully get a chance to meet and interact with some more people in the vinyl community, and hopefully have some other people find my channel, and hopefully I can discover some other channels, which I already have, just looking up the vinyl tag. I've already found a couple of other pretty cool channels that I look forward to checking out more in the future. So I collect both vinyl and CD, so I have both. I tried to stick with vinyl the best I could, but I got a couple questions that I am going to show CDs because it's just kind of the better a better answer for the questions for me. So I guess that's my quick little disclaimer. So the very first question was your favorite purchase of 2023. I had a lot of great purchases in 2023, and actually a lot of them were CDs. But as I was flipping through my vinyls and trying to find which one was my favorite of the year, I kind of settled on this one. It's kind of an odd choice, but this Christmas record right here, I had this on cassette when I was young, so I had a lot of good memories listening to this on tape when I was a little kid. And when I started collecting vinyl, I was hoping to find this, and I couldn't find it for the longest time. And just this past year, I think it was in August, maybe September, it just happened to pop up on both Amazon and Discogs at the same time. So I snatched one of them up while I could. But I'm kind of excited to have this one in the future because my son is 3 years old right now. This past Christmas was kind of his first year really kind of grasping the concept of Christmas and understanding sort of what was going on, and getting into like Christmas music and stuff like that. So I really think in the future we're gonna have a lot of fun with this, and I'll kind of get to share with him some music from what I had when I was growing up. So I'm looking forward to that. So I was really happy to pick this up for that reason. So I would have to go with that as my favorite purchase of 2023. All right, so what was my last purchase of 2023? It was after Christmas, a couple days after Christmas. I went to my favorite record store, and I actually got some CDs, and right on my way out the door, I happened to ask the guy if he had anything like this, and he said that he did. He kind of checked his backstock that he hasn't gotten to price yet, and he pulled this out, Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home soundtrack. Anybody that knows me knows I am a huge fan of Star Trek, so initially I wasn't going to get it because I had already made my purchase, but then I walked out to the car, and like a minute later I went back in and got it. So this technically is my last purchase of the year 2023, Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home soundtrack. Alright, next up, a band that released 2 albums in the same year. The first, there's a lot of good choices, but the first 2 that actually came to my mind both occurred in 1976. I decided to go with these: Kiss Destroyer and Kiss Rock and Roll Over. 2 great albums released in 1976. One of Kiss's I would say probably the most iconic studio album. Maybe the biggest fan favorite in the Kiss discography right here. 2 great albums, love them both. Good year for Kiss in 1978 with Destroyer and Rock and Roll Over. If you could only listen to one decade of music, what would it be? Well, I instantly can trim that down to the 70s, 80s, or 90s. It's definitely one of the 3. But I think I would have to lean to 80s. I love 90s music. I grew up in the 90s. I was born in 1990, so I love that decade. 70s also had a lot of great classic stuff as well, but I feel like I could be happy just being stuck with 80s music, regardless of if it's rock or new wave, or even go outside sort of the rock, metal umbrella, pop music. heck, even country. I kind of feel like anything that was from the 80s I could more or less enjoy. So if I was stuck with just one decade of music, even beyond what is generally my cup of tea, I feel it would be the 80s. But I picked out some records here just to, I mean, Hooters, Nervous Night, great band from the 80s right here. How about Rat? A lot of great classic Rat releases in the 1980s, of course. Van Halen, love Van Halen. A lot of great Van Halen albums. You got Women and Children First, Fair Warning, Diver Down in 1984 from the Roth era. Then you got those first two from the Hagar era. A lot of good Van Halen in the 80s. You've got my favorite band, Bon Jovi. 80s actually is not my favorite decade from Bon Jovi, but no doubt about it, it's classic Bon Jovi with Slippery and Wet in New Jersey. And of course, Phil Collins. I'm a Phil Collins fan as well, so I dig this and his 80s stuff with Genesis quite a bit. So definitely for me, I would have to go the 80s. Next up is a band from Manchester. I could only think of two, and I do have a couple of Oasis CDs, but that's not what I'm going to go with actually. And I don't have anything to show because I did buy an album from this group this year, but I gave it to one of my best friends because this is his favorite band, and that's the Smiths. He is a big fan. My buddy Josh is a big fan of the Smiths and Morrissey, so I picked up The Queen is Dead at the record store, and I gave it to him because he would probably get a lot more enjoyment out of it than I would. Nothing against the Smiths. I'm not as into them as he is, but they're from Manchester, so I decided to pick out the Smiths as the band from Manchester for me. Who did you listen to the most in 2023? Well, according to my YouTube music statistics, the band I listened to the most in 2023 was Rush. I became quite a big Rush fan in 2023. Prior to this, I was a casual Rush listener. I liked the hits that I heard on the radio, but I wasn't that deep into them. And last year, I really dug into this group. They've become like one of my top 10 favorite bands pretty rapidly. So I had 19 great studio albums to listen to online before I could start collecting them. So I listened to a lot of Rush on YouTube, and according to YouTube, Rush was my most listened to band of 2023. Next up, we have Show 7, 7-inch records. I don't own any, so I don't really collect them. I did once at Goodwill find Bon Jovi's You Give Love a Bad Name. I was going to get it, but it wasn't there when I had a chance to, so I kind of missed out on that. Otherwise, I haven't really gotten into collecting 7 inches, so I'm going to have to sit this one out. Alright, next one is Who's Coming to the Dinner Party? Choose 4 music-related individuals for a dinner party. Oh. Well, for one, I'm not really the most sociable person in the world, so I had to try to think of like who would really have who would I really be able to like engage with, and 2 people I thought of, James Hetfield from Metallica and Stephen Pearcy from Rat. Beyond being fans of these guys and their bands, and in Stephen Pearcy's case, some of his solo material, both of them are big fans of NHRA drag racing, and so am I. So I would kind of have that. I'd be able to kind of discuss our enjoyment of NHRA drag racing along with music. So I would have quite a bit that I could discuss with them and sort of interact with them over. Stephen Pearcy wrote a couple songs for NHRA that they used in their broadcast back in the 2000s. Like he had NHRA used Drive With Me in 2005 and Are You Ready in 2008. And James Hetfield, I know, is friends with Ron Capps. I'm not a Ron Capps fan, but it's that give us something to talk about. And even with Stephen Pearcy, I remember back in 2007, I think they put the Rat band logo on Clay Millican's car, which is really cool. So there would be that. I would also invite the late great Eddie Van Halen. Van Halen's one of my favorite bands, and just to kind of have one chance to meet Eddie, I would have to take advantage of that and say if I can bring someone back, I'd have to bring back Eddie Van Halen. And this is not an official invite, but if he wanted to bring Wolfgang with, he's more than welcome to. And my last one, I'm also kind of cheating a little bit here, the Goo Goo Dolls. I'm a big fan of the Goo Goo Dolls. They're probably my favorite band of the 1990s. Two of my favorite songwriters, and Johnny Resnick and Robbie Takak. I can't choose which of the two I'd want to invite, so I'm just kind of throwing a blanket invite to the Goo Goo Dolls, and that's my dinner party. So, kind of cheated a little bit there, but oh well. All right, number 9 was a musician who passed in 2023. Even though I'm not really a huge fan of this band, the first one that comes to my mind is Steve Harwell from Smash Mouth. I mean, I remember Smash Mouth when they were really huge at the end of the 90s and early 2000s, and they had a couple decent songs. I never became a big fan, but that was the first one I could think of. Just like skimming through my collection, I don't think there's anybody that passed in any band that I am into or whatnot, unless, at least off the top of my head, unless I'm forgetting somebody, but Steve Harwell was the first one that came to my mind. If you could only listen to music from one country, what would it be? Well, my mind instantly goes to the US or the UK, because, well, I'm a big fan of rock music, so I think a lot of the great iconic bands, most of them come from one of the two. Of course, the UK has Zeppelin and the Beatles and Judas Priest and some other great bands that for some reason aren't coming to me off the top of my head. But I'm gonna go with the USA, because most of my top tier favorite groups are American bands: Bon Jovi, Van Halen, Kiss, Aerosmith. My favorite 90s bands, most of them, Goo Goo Dolls, Foo Fighters, Collective Soul, they're all from the US, Twisted Sister. So a lot of great bands from the US. I think I'd have to lean towards the US on that one, though I could definitely live with the UK as well. And a shout out to Canada as well. I mean, I consider Canada for a little bit too, because of Rush and Matthew Good Band, which is great alt-rock band from up there that nobody seems to know of down here, but they're pretty awesome. But USA is kind of how I'm leaning there. All right, 3 vinyl community channels you discovered in 2023. Well, I had to think about which ones I watched before I started posting, because I started posting videos last year, like Christmas Eve of 2022. So I had to think of what channels I was already watching by that point, and then who I discovered since I've been making videos. And probably the 3 that I've watched the most since I've discovered since I got started on YouTube. Off the Charts, he's got a pretty great channel. Steve Herold, he's got another great channel as well, and Vinely, VYNYLY. I got hooked on watching his 5 on Friday videos. I thought those were really, really interesting. All three of these guys have great channels. I recommend going and checking them out. If I remember to do so, I'll try to post links in the description. Hopefully I remember to do so, because I definitely recommend checking those guys out. They got great channels. Off the Charts, he does a lot of ranking videos, talks a lot about a lot of bands that I like. He's a big Kiss fan. He likes Rat, some other great bands like that. Steve Herold really likes to show his collection a lot. He's a big Van Halen guy. He's also a big Diver Down guy, as am I, so us Diver Down fans got to stick together. And finally, he's got a lot of good info on a lot of great albums, so definitely recommend all 3 of those channels. They're all awesome. All right, show a record that you bought as a teen. All right, I got to go CD here as well. I was a teenager in the 2000s, so records were not really much of a thing in the 2000s. And to be honest with you, when I heard this question, the very first album that came to my mind was Foo Fighters' Echo, Silence, Patience, and Grace. I got this the day it came out. in September of 2007. I was a senior in high school, and this album basically is my senior year of high school to me. Um, it's just so cemented for me that even though I got a lot of albums when I was a teenager, this is the first one that pops into my mind whenever I think about that. So, Foo Fighters, Echo, Silence, Patience, and Grace, album I bought as a teenager. Next up is show a funk or a soul record. Okay, so I don't really have any. It's not really my cup of tea. So I am going to sort of stretch the rules here a little bit because I do have something to show, something that is soul in name but not in genre. Because, like I said, I don't really have anything funk or soul to show, but I got Collective Soul. I love this band, one of my favorite groups from the 1990s. So I'm gonna stretch the rules a little bit there. I don't think that's what he meant when he said show a funk or a soul record, but that's what I got. So, Collective Soul. Next one is show a record everyone has, and then show a record that nobody has. Well, I'll bet you that everybody has this, Abbey Road from the Beatles. Is there anybody out there who doesn't? Because I'm pretty sure that just about everybody's got a copy of this, as they should. Now, something that nobody has, and I'm going to show my inner Star Trek nerd again. This, I honestly don't even know what it is. I literally just picked this up a few weeks ago, and I haven't gotten to play it yet. But it looks like it's some sort of. It was released in '76. It looks like. So that would have been after the original series ended its run, after the animated series ended its run, and before the movie franchise started. But this seems like it's some kind of like bonus features on a record. Like if you have movies or seasons of TV shows on DVD, and then there's always the bonus features. That almost kind of what I'm feeling like this is going to be. It's almost like bonus features on vinyl or something. Is what it looks like. It looks pretty cool. I can't wait to check it out. So I'm betting that probably not too many other people watching my channel have this. All right, She's Great, a record from a female artist you bought in 2023. Along with becoming a big Rush fan in 2023, I also became quite a Pat Benatar fan in 2023. I bought quite a bit of her albums this past year. I just picked this one up because it was the first one that I found, but I got a couple others. Again, I went from being a casual listener, enjoying her hit songs, to collecting her albums and becoming pretty big fan of Pat Benatar. So she's got a lot of good stuff. This one right here, this is a pretty good album as well. I also really love A Wide Awake in Dreamland is probably my favorite. I like Get Nervous a lot as well. Of course, Crimes of Passion is really good as well, and Precious Time. So a lot of good stuff from Pat Benatar. So that's my number 15. All right, number 16. Favorite video that you posted and favorite video that you watched from somebody else. Favorite video that I posted. I kind of had two that came to my mind. I had a lot of fun making the video where I equated every team in the NFL to a corresponding classic rock band. And it was just my way of kind of crossing my love of music and my football fandom together. I did it to celebrate the matchup between my two favorite teams in the NFL. I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan. My second favorite team is the New York Jets. They played each other back in Week 6. So for that, I decided to sort of do that video, and it was just a kind of a fun way to kind of pick on teams I like and pick on the teams I don't like, and sort of give goofy explanations as to why they match certain bands. But that was a lot of fun. I also had a lot of fun making the video about music that I shared with my dad over the years that I released on Father's Day. So I had a lot of fun doing those two videos. Favorite video I watched, man, I don't know. There are so many good ones. Like I said, those 5 on Fridays from Vinely are great stuff. I love watching ranking videos. So anybody who does ranking videos or they show like their favorite albums, which is something that both Off the Charts and Steve Herold did, that I like to watch on their channels. CD Guys got a lot of great content as well. I love watching Ralph Vieira's Track versus Tracks. Man, Brandon Snyder's got a lot of good content. I don't know that I can pick a video because everybody's sort of got their own style and their own thing that they do, and I look forward to it all coming out. So I can't pick just one. I'm sorry, I can't do that. So I'll have to skip on that one. Next up is show a record that you consider to be a 90s classic. I'm going to go with one that's not so obvious. I mean, I could have gone with something Pearl Jam. I thought about going with something Stone Temple Pilots because I love that band as well. Could have gone Alice in Chains, but I'm going to go with Dizzy Up the Girl from the Goo Goo Dolls because I think this is a really brilliant pop rock album right here. Johnny Resnick's songwriting is just... he's on another planet on this album. I mean, you got Slide, and you've got Broadway, and Black Balloon, All Eyes on Me, Iris, Hate This Place. I mean, that's just a murder's row of Goo Goo Doll hits right there. Robbie adds to the fun as well with January Friend, Am I Gone, Full Forever. And you've got some really awesome deep cut songs like Bulletproof, Acoustic Number 3, Extra Pale. Just a great, solid Goo Goo Dolls album. This isn't even my favorite Goo Goo Dolls album, but I think it's a 90s classic. So I'm gonna go with that one for my 90s classic. All right, if you could, I thought this was a really unique and interesting question. If you could walk into an album cover, which one would it be? I never really heard anything like this brought up before, so that's a very original question from Rob Walker on this one. So I didn't know what to do for this one, but I got stuck on that dinner party question because I was having a hard time really narrowing it down. And I thought a way that I could kind of cheat myself out of that and not invite anybody from my favorite band is to walk into this album cover right here and meet my favorite band. So I'm going to walk into the These Days album cover, meet Bon Jovi, when Richie, of course, is still in the band, and then just kind of get to enjoy life in 1995. I mean, I was 5 years old at the time, so that was a long time ago. Seems like a totally different world, but I would love to go back and just sort of experience life in the 90s and meet my favorite band. So that's nothing like too fancy going on there, but that's my reasoning for wanting to go into that album cover. All right, number 19. Which album are you so familiar with it feels like a greatest hits? This one. I am a huge fan of Twisted Sister. I was obsessed with these guys in my early high school days, kind of like late 8th grade, 9th grade, into 10th grade. This was my favorite band by far. I mean, they practically lapped the field, and it's really the only time that I could say that my favorite band had like that big of a gap between them and my second favorite. I just posted favorite bands video not too long ago, and the gap between my 1 and my 2 and my 3 is really not that much. But when back in the day, Twisted Sister was pretty far ahead of everybody else, and I wore out pretty much all 5 of those studio albums. But this one right here, Stay Hungry, not only does it have their hits, but it's got a number of fan favorites and concert staples. Great stuff like Stay Hungry and Burn in Hell and Horatoria, Price, Don't Let Me Down, The Beast, SMF. I feel like I could recite this album in my sleep. If you've ever, I know people say that they've seen certain movies so many times they could recite every line. I'm pretty sure I could sing or hum every note of this album in my sleep at this point. I've heard it so much and I still love it, so I would say that this one right here would be the one that is like a greatest hits to me. And in a way to Twisted Sister as well, because it does have their 2 most famous songs on it. Last but not least, show an album from 1974. So, this great album turning 50 years old this year. Aerosmith's Get Your Wings. Great album. I love 70s Aerosmith. And this one right here, I mean, I've grown to love the debut album a lot, but this one right here I think really blows it out of the water. Same Old Song and Dance, and Lord of the Thighs, Spaced, Woman of the World, Seasons of Wither. I mean, great stuff. Great album right here. Almost hard to believe it's 50 years old. I'm only 33, so it's kind of hard to believe that that much time has passed. It's kind of hard to believe that when I was getting into this album, and I was getting into Aerosmith, this album was only, heck, in its 30s. So I've been listening to this album almost half of its existence, or getting pretty close to half its existence. So, man, how time flies. Well, that was a lot of fun. Thank you all if you stuck around and watched my video. If you like this kind of content and like a lot of these bands that I've shown you here tonight, please consider subscribing and following me for more content in the future. Drop a comment down below. Let me know what you think. If you posted a vinyl tag video, certainly let me know, and I'd be happy to go check it out because I've been having a lot of fun with this. So, I will. I'm not really good at these sign offs yet, so I'll catch you all in the next video. Thank you for watching.